We start with Keats as a poet. We'll take his qualities one by one. First one is his escapism. Most of Keats' poetry is in the nature of an escape from life. Keats lived in a magic world of romance, peopled with Greek gods and goddesses, and containing perilous seas and magic casements. To escape from the sordid realities of life, he escaped into regions of pure imagination. His poetry shows an almost entire absence of social influence. The French Revolution itself left hardly any mark on his poems. Endymion and Hyperion deal with Greek myths. Lamia and Isabella are old tales told in verse. The great odes are inspired either by the old Greek world of imagination and art or by moods of the poet's own mind. Second is his passion for beauty. The search for beauty was the aim of his life and poetry. Keats once declared that he had loved the principles of beauty in all things, and the very first line of Endymion, a thing of beauty is a joy forever, lays down the theory that followed all through his poetical career. He even identified beauty with truth. In his worship of beauty as a creed, Keats can be compared with Spencer. His sensuousness, Keats as a poet is abundantly and enchantingly sensuous, according to Arnold. He wrote in one of his letters, "Oh, for a life of sensations rather than of thoughts." And this passion for sensations remained in him throughout his life. Unlike Shelley, who is ethereal in his descriptions, Keats is voluptuous and sensuous. Matthew Arnold has been at the pains of proving that Keats had strength of character. This is perhaps true, but he is as much the poet of light feet, dark violet eyes, and parted hair, soft dimpled hands, white neck, and creamy breast, as of anything else. In his poetry, Keats always tries to appeal to the senses. He dazzles the eye and ravishes the ear, but his youthful imagination often led him to the excesses which more than satiate the reader. Passages in Endymion and Lamia are often cloying with the sweetness and extravagance of ornament. His Hellenism, Shelley once said, Keats was a Greek. Hellenism was more of a creed with Keats than with Shelley. Although, unlike Shelley, who was a Greek scholar, Keats knew no Greek, and his knowledge of Greek was derived from classical dictionaries, translation, and sculptures in the British Museum. The old Greek world of fable and romance fired Keats' imagination, and thereafter Keats quietly slipped into that ancient world to escape from the weariness, the fever, and the fret of this world. The Greek spirit in Keats is shown among other things in his choice of Greek themes, his worship of beauty, and his attitude to nature. Coming next to his attitude to nature, there is nothing spiritual or mystical about Keats' attitude to nature. Unlike Wordsworth and Shelley, he did not believe that nature is alive, nor did he, like Wordsworth, attribute to it a moral life. Keats wholeheartedly loved nature for the pleasure it gave to his senses, and it is always through the senses that he expressed her. But although he did not believe that nature is alive, he reintroduced into English poetry the old Greek idea that trees and streams are haunted by naiads and nymphs. Thus, for Keats, the whole material world became peopled by living things. Next is his artistry. Keats was a conscious and a deliberate artist, the improvement in whose art with years is noticeable. Even during the short period of his poetical career, he once wrote to Shelley, "You might curb your magnanimity and be more of an artist and load every rift of your subject with ore." Keats followed throughout his political career the advice which he gave to Shelley and always deliberately and carefully loaded every rift of his subject with gold. His poetical and pictorial power. Keats excels in the art of word painting. Even in his Immature Endymion, among many others, there is a gorgeous picture of Bacchus and his parts in the roundelay to sorrow sung by the Indian maid. His pictorial power is seen at its best in the Eve of St. Agnes and the Eve of St. Mark's. In the latter, Keats' method being akin to that of pre-Raphaelites, the power of word painting manifests itself also in many of Keats' shorter poems. His imaginative phrases. Keats' poetry is remarkable for its numerous examples of perfect felicity of phrasing. To convey his sense impressions accurately, he had recourse to varied imagery and compound expressions and epithets, which are both pictures and ideas. Of the work of Keats, Matthew Arnold has written, Shakespearean work it is, not imitative, indeed, of Shakespeare, but Shakespearean because its expression has that rounded perfection and felicity of loveliness of which Shakespeare is the greatest master. Lastly, style. Keats' style is gorgeously attractive with its melodic beauty and sensuous passion, soft and caressing like velvet, and richly colored and odorous. At its best, it works like a divine enchantment, but very often it tends to be sticky, uncomfortable, and cloying. There is nothing Greek or classical about Keats' style. He believed that poetry should surprise by fine excess rather than by singularity, and it is thus, or this fine excess, that is present everywhere in the poetry. Thank you.